Chapter 525 Busi's Rage. There was a vigorous look of passion in Shu Tianran's eyes. Yes, only I, as the Emperor of the Sun Moon Empire and future ruler of the entire continent and the entire world, willed the right to step onto the seventh platform of this Sun Moon sacrificial altar. He ascended step by step until he reached the center of the platform. When he was above the image of the sun and moon, he was completely covered in a gold and silver glow. Ring, 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 an alarm that sounded like the groan of a giant beast sounded. The ceremony had officially begun. After this, a total of 108 firecrackers were set off. The sounds of these firecrackers echoed for more than 50 kilometers. Shu Tianran, who was at the top of the altar right now, was like the ruler of the entire world right now. He opened his arms wide and peered into the sky. He basked in the sunlight, and his face was filled with pride and mightiness. Boom, 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 boom. The booms continued to sound, but the expressions of a few people started to change. These were intelligent people. The sounds of the firecrackers seemed a little weird. They seemed a little too loud. In the distance, there appeared to be lights flashing from the east side of Radiant City. Shu Tianran didn't seem to hear anything. He continued with the ceremony. All types of sacrificial items were slowly raised along the sides of the seventh platform. These items were very specifically chosen over and over again. The firecrackers had ceased by now, but there were still booms coming from afar. Shu Tianran squinted and furrowed his brow slightly. However, he still continued with the ceremony. He gradually kneeled down and kowed out to the heavens. He was supposed to rise after this and give a speech. After his speech, there would be a series of complicated ceremonial processes. Some of the people on the lower platforms had quietly left. They proceeded eastwards. Though the Emperor couldn't personally go and find out what was happening, his subordinates could do so. The Sun Moon Empire's biggest munitions warehouse was located in the eastern suburbs. There were many stationary soul cannon shells stored in it. After they were used in the war, stationary soul cannon shells had proven themselves to be the most effective on battlefields. The main reason for this was that their effective range was considerably great. The rest of the soul tools' effective ranges were rather limited. Only stationary soul cannon shells had an effective range so great that it could cover the entire expanse of the continent, even though that was just theoretical. With their current technology, they could be fired from tens of kilometers away. They were the Sun Moon Empire's lethal weapons. Furthermore, after the previous major explosion of their warehouse in Radiant City, which caused major losses to the Sun Moon Empire, how would they dare to lower their guard? Eastern suburbs. Cannon shells were fired in quick succession in the direction of the munitions warehouse. However, the weird thing was that they seemed to be fired from the void. No soul tools could be seen at all. Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong held hands and quietly stood on the seemingly empty ground. However, the ground wasn't actually empty. 10 Juga divine crossbow cannons had been unleashed to their full effect under the concealment of Huo Yuao's imitation and spiritual interference domain. The heavenly sun Douluo and 9 other titled Douluo were standing with both of them. If not for Huo Yuao's imitation and spiritual interference domain, the attack wouldn't have proceeded on so smoothly. However, it had indeed fooled the aerial surveillance soul tools in the sky. At least, the attack was achieving its intended effect for now. The attack was being carried out successfully, but of course it didn't cause any damage. In the distance, a bright yellow barrier engulfed the warehouse. It had been activated upon contact. When the cannon shells fired by the Juga divine crossbow cannons touched this barrier, only ripples were formed. Juga divine crossbow cannons were manufactured by the Tang Sect, while the class 4 shells that they fired were designed by Huo Yuao. He was naturally very familiar with them. Huo Yuao was expressionless as he stood there. He sighed in his heart. According to Busi's plan, he and Tang Wutong would bid goodbye to the heavenly sun Douluo and the rest after the first round of attacks. They had to immediately prepare for the retreat and receive those who were carrying out the real mission. The heavenly sun Douluo nodded at Huo Yuao and said, "It's about time. People from the Sun Moon Empire are about to arrive. Let's make a move first. Both of you should quickly retreat. Follow the original plan. All right, elders, please take care." The heavenly sun Douluo smiled and waved. He led the other 9 titled Douluo away. All of their bodies had an ethereal light film over them. After they exited Huo Yuao's domain and were no longer concealed by his imitation, they still needed to conceal themselves. This is Concealment Soul Tool. Huo Yuao was a little astonished as he watched them leave. Concealment Soul Tools. I believe even the Sun Moon Empire is only in the experimental stage. I didn't expect these titled Douluo to possess them already. However, Huo Yuao was a class 9 soul engineer. Very soon, he could tell what the catch was. They were indeed Concealment Soul Tools, but it seemed like only titled Douluo could operate them from the soul power undulations that were being released. These soul tools that they were using were probably just half finished. They could only be effectively maintained through the immense soul power undulations of titled Douluo. Compared to his own imitation, these soul tools drained much more soul power. I hope they succeed with their plan. Huo Yuao had no habit of wasting things. He quickly stopped firing the Juga divine crossbow cannons and put them away in his starlight sapphire ring. A cold look also surfaced on his face. The Sun Moon Empire reacts very quickly indeed. Their people are here after just a few attacks. A massive silver web suddenly appeared in the clear sky. It wasn't a real web, but was formed using energy. It covered several thousands of square meters, and it was quickly engulfing Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong. It was capturing type-linked soul tool. The Sun Moon Empire indeed has all kinds of powerful soul tools. Huo Yuao was only able to think of this because he was composed enough. He grabbed Tang Wutong's hand tightly, and blinding silver light instantly shone from their backs. At this instant, a deafening boom resonated through the air. Following this, both of them turned into 2 beams of flowing light and quickly shot into the distance. They were simply too quick. They were so quick that Huo Yuao was unable to maintain his imitation and domain. He had to fully focus his attention on protecting his body. However, this extreme speed enabled both of them to quickly flee from the engulfing web. Following this, a series of tremendous booms rang out from beneath the web. It was the high explosive bomb that Huo Yuao had left behind. The extreme temperature generated from the bomb was enough to wipe away any traces of them ever being there. Silver lights flashed in the sky, and were naturally captured by the aerial surveillance soul tools in the air. However, Huo Yuao wasn't worried at all. This was because they were already so quick that they were no longer afraid of being chased by any soldiers. They overcame the sound barrier as they traveled at supersonic speed. In an instant, they covered more than 50 kilometers. No matter how well equipped the Sun Moon Empire was in terms of aerial surveillance soul tools, they could only install these soul tools in and around Radiant City. They couldn't possibly cover the entire region. This was why Huo Yuao and Tang Wutong were completely out of the range of the aerial surveillance soul tools in just a matter of moments. When they slowed down, Huo Yuao used his imitation to conceal both of them again. Huo Yuao peered into the distance as he landed on a mountain. However, he wasn't looking at the eastern suburbs, but the southern suburbs where the grand sacrificial ceremony was taking place. I wonder how the body Douluo and the rest are doing. The booms from the eastern suburbs had ceased after some time. Shu Tianran cowed out again after he finished reciting his speech. At this moment, a weird aura could be felt in the air. The sky also turned ridiculously dark. The originally bright sunlight was blocked off by gloomy clouds. The Sun Moon sacrificial altar also turned dimmer instantly. The entire sky descended into darkness as the millions of citizens watched. Suddenly, the people began to feel terrified. Shu Tianran finally turned grim. This ceremony was chosen to be held on this auspicious day, which was determined after many rounds of verification. The gloomy clouds were certainly not a natural phenomenon. If it wasn't natural, it had to be the doing of humans. Shu Tianran, you are too ambitious. The heavens cannot stand you. I'll perform justice on behalf of the heavens today and deal with you. Vigorous sound waves sounded in the air. Everyone could clearly hear the words. Shu Tianran stood straight and coldly looked into the sky. In the sky, a giant that resembled a god tore the gloomy clouds apart and walked out. This giant was more than 100 feet tall and was completely jade green. There was even a purple fog surrounding him. Wasn't he the body Douluo? Busi? Shu Tianran coldly said, "Demonic arts. How dare you disrupt today's ceremony? Today, I shall use your blood to pay respects to the heavens. I'll kill you, you demonic creature." As he shouted, more than 10 figures rose into the sky. Following this, a golden glow rose from the sides of the altar. It turned into a huge barrier that completely engulfed the altar. There were many imperial family members and senior officials from the Sun Moon Empire on the altar. Shu Tianran was wary as they faced Busi, who was almost an ultimate Douluo. He couldn't afford to lose anyone here, and yet he didn't really regard Busi very highly. Boom! Tremendous booms sounded from the four corners. Tragic screams and cries were immediately heard. This time, Shu Tianran's expression changed. He was horrified as he roared, "Busi, how dare you disregard the principles of soul masters and let your men lay their hands on ordinary people? There were millions of citizens here. The amount of destruction that could be caused was terrifying. My empire has fallen, and my sect is on the brink of collapse. What principles do I still have to adhere to? The body sect has never had principles before either. If we are punished by the heavens, I'll shoulder all the punishment. Ha 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 ha." Busi laughed maniacally. He lifted his hands, and a terrifying aura was exuded from his body. It turned into a form of power that suppressed the 10 figures that were rising up. At this moment, the gloomy clouds in the sky started to shake. A long sigh sounded. "Oh, why do you have to do this?" Busi focused his gaze. "I knew you would come. What about that lass?" asked her along as well. A figure silently appeared in the air. He was dressed in a black robe, and his white hair flowed freely. He was drifting high up in the sky, and had no intention of backing away. Any form of power that attempted to reach him was easily overcome by an invisible force. Nothing could come within 3 feet of him. The darkness holy dragon, the dragon god Douluo Long Xiaya, who was a true ultimate Douluo, had finally appeared. Long Xiaya sighed and said, "Busi, leave. You can still leave now. I wouldn't have appeared if you didn't lay your hands on the ordinary citizens. If you massacre lives, you'll be filled with vengeance, and you'll never reincarnate." Busi laughed maniacally and said, "Ha ha ha, this is funny. This is too funny. You're such a hypocrite. How dare you talk about massacring lives in front of me? You are in cahoots with them. How is it that you have the cheek to admonish me? Although Nguyen is a big enemy of my sect, I respect him a lot. He protected Shrek City. What about you? For a woman, you're willing to work with evil soul masters. If Nguyen was still alive, he'd definitely be ashamed to be mentioned in the same breath as you." The killings had already begun around the altar. They weren't just ordinary soul masters. They were transcendent Douluo. They had hidden themselves among the crowd, and were now starting to become violent. Their violence turned the entire venue into a river of blood. Even though powerful individuals from the Sun Moon Empire rushed over immediately, how could they possibly stop this terrifying massacre? Long Xiaya sighed and said, "How can you understand my thoughts? Stop the killings." As he spoke, he punched in Busi's direction. Busi snorted coldly. He didn't move at all, and just extended his palm. Suddenly, the entire sky seemed to move with his palm. The wind started to rage. A black fist of energy enlarged as it moved through the air. It collided with Busi's palm. There weren't any large noises. The sky only shook. The shaking might seem very gentle, but it stopped everyone on the ground. Even the golden barrier protecting the altar started to ripple. Busi roared into the skies. Following this, a blinding purplish flame rose from his body. He instantly grew in size once again, until he was more than 300 feet wide, and 1,000 meters tall. His terrifying aura pushed the 10 figures back to the ground. Some of the weaker ones were even crushed into powder. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.